Yes, guys, welcome back to my channel. Since England went out on Saturday night, and it's been a long time since I've done a podcast like this, I thought it would be a good time to see my thoughts on the World Cup so far. So without further ado, let's get into the podcast. So let's bring our minds back all the way to the start of the group stage. So I'm going to go through each group and tell you my prediction. So let's get into it. So with Group A, there was Netherlands, Senegal. I thought those two would go through and Ecuador and Qatar would go out. And that's how it panned out for Group A. England, I thought, would top the group. I thought Wales would come second, but Wales are very, very poor. Rob Page made a few questionable decisions, not starting Kiefer Moore. When he came on, made a big difference, but then they bottled it against Iran. And I thought US would finish third in the group. They surprised me. They've got a good midfield with Tyler Adams in there as their captain, as well as Musa from Valencia. He's a really good player for the future for them. And Iran finished bottom, but as expected. But they got Taremi up front with Azmoun, who plays for Bayer Leverkusen, and Taremi, who plays for Porto, and he's a really good player. With Group C, Argentina, I predicted would go top. Mexico finished second, Poland third, and Saudi fourth. Poland overall were quite disappointing. They played such defensive football, and a missed penalty from Messi kept them in the World Cup to go through to the next round. So Argentina did finish top of the group, and well deserved, and as I predicted as well. Interesting for Group D, where there was France, Denmark, Tunisia, and Australia. I thought France would finish top, and they did, but I thought Australia would finish bottom, and they finished second, and they went through to the next round. Denmark were very disappointing. They didn't really create too many chances. Their main players, like Schmeichel, Poulsen, didn't really get much game time. Eriksson was okay, but overall Denmark were very disappointing. And Tunisia, I thought, would go out anyway, but they finished bottom. Moving on to Group E, and that was very interesting. Spain, Germany, Japan, and Costa Rica. No one expected Japan to go through. I fell in love with Japan, but they couldn't get over the line in the round of 16, which we'll get onto in a minute. But I'm sure everyone predicted Spain and Germany to go through. So I predicted Spain to be top, Germany to be second, Japan third, and Costa Rica fourth. The last two World Cups, they've failed to get out of the group stage. I feel they're lacking a striker, the clinical situations, as well as Spain as such, but they have players like Musiala still there, Gnabry, Sane. I don't know why Sane didn't start too many games. Germany were disappointing overall. They got really good players, but they just don't have that final product in the crucial moments there. Spain scraped through. They lost to Japan on the final game of the group, but they managed to go through after that 7-0 win against Costa Rica in the first game. They looked very impressive. I thought they would go really far in the tournament, but it wasn't to be for Spain again. The next group was Belgium, Croatia, Morocco, and Canada. I thought Belgium were very disappointing. There's a lot of tension within the ranks at the moment. So I thought they would finish top. I thought Croatia would finish second, Morocco third, and Canada fourth. The story of the World Cup is Morocco. Morocco have some really good players. Their manager just come in. Halilhodžić got sacked. Ziyech came out of retirement. And I think the impact of the new manager has done so well. They finished top of that group. Belgium crashed out. Croatia finished second. And Croatia's always got a strong team. They've always got reliable players. They were experienced as well from the last World Cup. And they got Modric leading the midfield. They got Brozovic, Modric, and Kovacic in the midfield, which is a great midfield to have. And Livakovic in goal. The next group was Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. I thought Brazil would finish top, Cameroon bottom. I didn't predict Switzerland going through. I thought Serbia would go through as their attack is really good. They've got Tadic, Vlahovic, Mitrovic, and Jovic, but they didn't really seem to play Vlahovic too much. Mitrovic was their main target man, but Switzerland, with the leadership of Xhaka, they managed to go through to the second round. I thought Serbia would go through and Switzerland would crash out, but it was the other way around. The final group was very interesting, quite even at times. I thought Portugal would finish top, Uruguay second, Ghana third, and South Korea fourth. Portugal finished top, which was my correct prediction. No one expected South Korea to go through, in all honesty. With the help of Son, Kim Min-jae from Napoli, Hwang Hee-chan from Wolves. They got decent technicians in their team to go through from that group, and everyone's very surprised that they went through. But Uruguay are very disappointing. Nunes is still raw, and I still feel he needs a bit more time to develop. You can't be relying on 35-year-old Suarez and Cavani to get you out of situations now, and especially if they're playing Godin at the back, and he's ancient, and he's been there for so long. So I feel Uruguay need to rebuild after this World Cup. But Ghana, I thought they were okay. Kudus looked good. Not many others look good, to be fair. Partey controls their midfield, but he needs more help in there. Portugal and South Korea, especially South Korea going through, was very surprising. I thought Uruguay would go through second. Moving on to the last 16 games. Netherlands and USA finished 3-1. Netherlands were clear favourites for that game. I predicted Netherlands to go through. Argentina, Australia, closer than people thought it would be. Mitchell Duke tried his best up top for them, but he was very isolated. Argentina dominated the ball and they got the win in the end. France, Poland. Poland, they're just disappointing. They're so negative when they play, but France overall obviously deserved it with goals from Mbappe. He's just different level. He's so good. England, Senegal, that was a 3-0 game. First half was a bit dry for England, but then the second half kicked into gear and then we ended up winning 3-0. Quite comfortable in the end, but I feel if Senegal had Mane and Idrissa Gana Gueye, it could have been a more difficult game, but obviously Mane's injured and Gueye was suspended, so it became quite comfortable for England in the end. Japan and Croatia. I was hoping that Japan would win. They took it to penalties, Japan, but Croatia with the experience, as quite a few of their knockout games have gone all the way to penalties and they're used to that situation. Japan, I think they won everyone's hearts. They were everyone's second team. They did fight till the very end and they were very unlucky against an informed Livakovic in goal. The penalties were poor, but it's a 50-50. You can never experience that in training, so it's hard to call in penalties. Brazil, South Korea, that was a battering in the first half. Brazil absolutely dominated the game. But Korea did get a consolation goal. It was a good goal, to be fair, but Brazil did obviously deserve to win that game. But we'll move on to the next game, Morocco and Spain. Morocco on penalties. Bono's a quality keeper. They have really good players all over the pitch. Hakimi with that Panenka to win the penalty shootout. Ziyech. They got Amrabat, who I've been really, really impressed with this World Cup. He's 26, playing for Fiorentina. If he continues in this form, I'm sure he'll get a move. And other big clubs from Europe will be looking at him. But he's already in Italy for Fiorentina, but he's a key part of that midfield for them. So he has to stay fit for Morocco. Saiss and Aguerd at the back. El Yamik, who plays in Qatar, who's 30, performing really well too. Mazraoui now, who's been injured. En-Nesyri, Ziyech, Boufal. They got quality all over the pitch. I feel people are underestimating them, including myself at the start. I never thought Morocco would go as far as they have. Portugal, Switzerland, it was 6-1 and Portugal went through. Gonçalo Ramos scored a hat-trick. Ronaldo's obviously not happy, but Gonçalo Ramos paid him back with the hat-trick that he scored against Switzerland, which made him start in the semi-final, which we'll get onto in a minute. Croatia and Brazil, that was an incredible game. Petkovic's goal, that was a poor shot from Petkovic, but Croatia did really well to come back in that game, especially conceding in extra time. But it came off Marquinhos, which was a big deflection as Alisson couldn't get there. But that was a poor shot from Petkovic. But you just got to ride your luck sometimes in the World Cup. And I feel Croatia, with the experience that they have, with the form Livakovic is in, especially with the penalty he saved against Japan, I think he saved maybe 1 or 2 in the Brazil game, penalty shootout, and they deserve to go through. Their experience tells in the big moments, and I feel Neymar was very disappointing in the World Cup again. He's all hyped, but then when it comes to the key moments, I feel he should have taken a penalty in at least the first 3. Have your best penalty takers take. He decided to go 5th to get all the glory because he thought they would win. Croatia are through to the semi-finals of the World Cup and well deserved because they fight till the very end. The key players, Perisic and obviously Modric in midfield, he takes the play for them. And Mandzukic, Chorluka are in the backroom staff. They've got bags of experience to help the guys through as well. They got Lovren. Gvardiol is a quality player who's looking to get moved to Chelsea. I've seen him linked with Man United as well. But Livakovic is in great form. I think he made 11 saves in the Brazil game, the most of any goalkeeper so far. And yeah, Croatia are a quality team. Netherlands, Argentina was also a crazy game. Argentina 2-0 up and cruising. Emi Martinez complaining after the game that they wanted Netherlands to come back after giving 10 minutes of added time. They showed great bravery with the free kick at the end where they played it into the box. And Wout Weghorst, Burnley's finest, now playing at Besiktas, I think he is, scoring an equaliser. Big Wout Weghorst. Then he missed a penalty in the shootout, but Emi Martinez is the hero of the penalty shootout, as usual, as he was for Argentina against Colombia in the Copa America to win them that quarter-final too. Argentina are through to the semi-finals of the World Cup, and Messi's hopes of a World Cup are still alive. Morocco, Portugal. I was hoping that Morocco would win. I thought Portugal would beat them, but Morocco, they're showing resilience at the back. En-Nesyri scored a header just before half-time. Diego Costa came for the ball, but he was nowhere near it. En-Nesyri got on the end of it. He managed to tuck it away, and they managed to hold on. It's a great moment for all of Africa, and especially Morocco, the first ever African team to go past the quarterfinals into the semi-finals of a World Cup. And that moves me on to England versus France. I felt the referee was quite poor. Maguire was right. The referee was giving away many decisions to France. The foul for the first goal on Saka up top. Chouameni scored a long-range goal from that. It went through Bellingham's legs, I believe. We got an equaliser with a penalty from Kane. I felt definitely we should have had one more penalty and even a free kick from outside the box on the side where the referee wasn't giving much. It wasn't meant to be. But what can you say? We conceded a header where it came off Maguire. It was very unlucky. Went into the corner. Giroud, top scorer of all time for France. Credit to him. He's a very underrated player. Still doing it in Milan for them. And yeah, he surpassed Thierry Henry. And obviously, Kane's missed penalty in the last few minutes is heartbreaking. And I can't believe he missed the penalty, to be fair. We can hold our heads up high. I think we played well in the World Cup. It was a 50-50 game. It was quite even. Possession stats, shot stats were quite even. Maybe take a few more chances. But we'll get on to Gareth Southgate and whether he should stay later. So we'll get on to that. Moving on to the semi-finals, looking ahead. Tomorrow, we've got Argentina against Croatia. On Wednesday, there's Morocco against France. So what are my predictions for Tuesday's match? So Argentina-Croatia, I do think it will be a very close game. It could even go to penalties again, as Croatia love a penalty shootout. I think Argentina will dominate the ball. Croatia will hold back and try and hit them on the counter-attack. I think it will go to penalties. It'll be tough because Martinez and Livakovic are both in form for penalties. But I do think Argentina will go through to the final of the FIFA World Cup. Moving on to Wednesday's match, that's Morocco against France. I have to say I want Morocco to win after France beat England on Saturday. So I really want Morocco to win. They're just going to play the same way like they played against Belgium, like they played against Spain, like they played against Portugal. They're going to sit back, absorb the pressure, try hit them on the counter-attack with Buffal, with En-Nesyri, with Ziyech. Amrabat's hopefully going to hold the midfield down. It will be a big task. They do have a quality right-back, Hakimi, against Mbappe. But they've got quality all over the pitch, France. So it'll be a tricky game for Morocco. But I do predict Morocco to go through to the final. With England out, do I think Gareth Southgate should stay on as manager? I don't think he should. It may be quite a controversial thing to say, but I do think having Trent Alexander-Arnold on the bench potentially could have gone to 5 at the back, with Trent at right wing back and Walker at right centre back, with Stones and Maguire, dropping Henderson, having Rice and Bellingham in midfield, and Shaw left wing back. I'm happy with the forward line, Kane, Saka, Foden that started, but maybe if we had Trent, we'd create more chances, especially with him further up, and then Walker dealing with Mbappe, because Mbappe was very quiet on Saturday. We dealt with Mbappe quite well. The decision to bring on Sterling after his home got burgled, I felt was the wrong decision. You bring Grealish on with 2 minutes to go, and you bring Sterling on, who's just returned for one training session, and you bring him on instead. Players like Grealish, players like Maddison to bring off the bench. But you bring on Sterling, you bring on Mount. Mount's good player, obviously, but he's not in good form for Chelsea. He made a few questionable decisions, not bringing Foden on in one of the games when we're drawing 0-0 to USA. I don't think Gareth Southgate can take this team any further, in my opinion. That's 3 tournaments we've just not been good enough in to get us over the line. Saturday was a very close game. Euros, we lost on penalties. That's a 50-50. But I still think some decisions he made are questionable at times. Bringing Conor Gallagher, not bringing Tomori, in my opinion. He brought Maddison, but he wasn't fit. So it was pointless to bring him anyway. But at this stage, I do feel Gareth Southgate has to go. But who will come in if Gareth Southgate does step down as manager is a whole other podcast to discuss. I tried to keep this as short as sweet as possible with my World Cup analysis so far. Looking forward to the semi-finals and the final, obviously, next week. If you did enjoy that podcast, after a very long time not uploading, just Kodak games. If you did enjoy that podcast, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget, I'll see you later for more. Peace!